Okay, so what we've got here is an introduction to circles. Okay, so finding area and also the perimeter of the circle. And the reason that I've done this is that we get this mysterious table shape here. Okay, and we call this pi. Just pi, and it's called pi. Okay, so first off, let's look at the circle. So the full width of the circle we call d. Okay, and d is what we call the diameter. Okay, so the diameter of the circle is just the full width. Then from the center of the circle out we have r. Now r is what we call, whoops, we don't call it whoops, we call it the radius. Okay, so the radius is from the center of the circle out so that it touches the circumference, and then the width of the circle, the full width, is the diameter. Okay, now you can see if I was to swing this around, it would be half the diameter. Okay, so the radius is half the diameter, or that the diameter is twice the radius. It's 2 times the radius. The reason I tell you this is because in some questions, inevitably what they'll do is, if you want the diameter, they'll give you the radius, and if you want the radius, they'll give you the diameter. So you need to know that the radius is half of this diameter, and that the diameter is twice the radius. Okay, I know that seems like a lot to take in, but it is necessary that you know. Now, pi, this Greek letter, is actually what we call a constant. It's a value. It has a number. Okay, now generally we have various values for pi, but most of the time it's 3.142. Okay, so if I just explain to you what pi is, if I took the length of this diameter and then wrapped it around the circle, the diameter would go 3 and a bit times. Now that bit would be the 1.142. So it goes 3 times around plus this little bit. So pi is very important because we use this to find the area and the circumference. Now the circumference is just the distance around the circle. Okay, for some reason we stop calling it a perimeter and we call it a circumference. So if we want to find the area of a circle, then this is pi r squared. Okay, so that's this number, pi. Now when we have things put together like this, like pi r squared or ab or xy, when they're together, then it means that they're going to be multiplied. There's an invisible multiplication sign here. So it's pi times the radius squared. Now if we square something, it's just itself times itself. So for example, if the radius was 4, then the radius squared would just be 4 times 4. Okay, so the radius squared would just be 16. That's all there is to it. What's important is that we square the number first and then multiply by pi, which will be this number, or whichever value they give you from this. Now the circumference is pi d or 2 pi r. Okay, now pi d is just pi times the diameter. So pi d is just pi, this value or whichever value they give you, multiplied by whatever the diameter of the circle is. Now that will tell us the distance around the outside of the circle. Okay, now 2 pi r is exactly the same as pi d. Okay, but it's just written in another way. So this is 2 times pi, which is this constant number, multiplied by whatever the radius is. Okay, so I hope this helps a little bit. I hope I haven't confused you too much. Once we actually start doing this, you'll find it's quite easy, and that the calculator takes most of the work out of it. Okay, but you do need to understand that if we have letters and signs together, they're being multiplied. That if we square something, we're multiplying it by itself, and that you know what a radius and a diameter are. Okay, so I'll stop there and then we'll actually do some problems.